Welcome to Red-tastic. Story 1. My 23 females sister, 27, asked me to be her maid of honor and handle all the reservations for her bridal shower and bachelorette party. We agreed upfront that I would be reimbursed for the expenses I incurred. Our mom encouraged me to do this as well, since it would ease the initial financial burden a bit for my sister. I worked closely with our family to ensure every detail, from the theme to the decorations, matched my sister's vision, and I discussed the budget with the bridal party so everyone knew what to expect. Once my sister approved the plans, I went ahead and booked the venues and arranged everything accordingly. I ended up spending around $400 on the bridesmaid dress she chose, $1,000 deposit on the wedding venue, $200 on decorations, and a $300 deposit for the catering, roughly a total of $4,000. I trusted that as we had agreed, I would be reimbursed for these costs. Now that the wedding is fast approaching, I finally asked her for the money, but she said she considered those expenses a gift from me. This was in no way our initial agreement. When I brought up this fact, she got upset and said I was being money-minded. Unsurprisingly, our mom is now unhappy that I'm asking for it back. She has a history of prioritizing sister over me. She says that I need to be mindful of my sister's happiness, and $4,000 is really not much money for me, as it is for my sister, which is true, but still it's a significant amount of money, and money I worked hard for. I'm really hurt and frustrated because I took on all these responsibilities and the financial burden with the clear understanding that I wouldn't be out of pocket. So am I the a-hole for expecting to be reimbursed for my expenses? Update. I recently spoke with my soon-to-be brother-in-law about the reimbursement situation. He was completely unaware that I was supposed to be paid back for the expenses. After hearing me out, he promised to pay it back soon. However, things are now quite shaky between him and my sister. Meanwhile, both my mom and my sister are on my case about asking for the money back. They say I have caused unnecessary drama, saying it's not much, and that I shouldn't be making an issue out of it. This whole situation has really unsettled our family dynamic as the wedding approaches. Sometimes I keep wondering how much more this will impact our relationships. You're not the a-hole, OP. Your mother and your sister are. I'm so glad your future brother-in-law is a good person. Anyone with a working mind would take your side and realize your mom and sister are trying to take advantage of you. If she wanted you to book a venue, decorate it, pay for catering, etc., as a gift for her wedding, then she should have been upright about it from the start, instead of lying and telling you that you would be reimbursed, when she knew fully well she didn't plan on giving you the money back, and she has the guts to call you money-minded. If your relationship with them breaks over this, I'm sorry, but just know this is not your fault at all. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for how I reacted to my friend for her comments about me going to medical school? Sorry for any typos or grammar errors, wrote this quickly on my phone. Me and my friend Grace grew up together, and ever since we were little, both wanted to be doctors. We went to the same college and both started off as pre-meds our freshman year. Our first year, Grace unfortunately ended up doing pretty poorly in her pre-med classes. Still determined to be a doctor, she started putting in more time and effort into her studies. I, on the other hand, excelled in my pre-med classes. I offered to help her and we often studied together, but she really struggled to understand the material. She hired private tutors, studied day and night, but nothing seemed to help. Even though her grades did improve from freshman year, they still weren't high enough to be competitive for medical school. During our sophomore year, she decided to switch to nursing. She was eventually accepted into our school's nursing program and has been doing great in the program. I'm really happy for her, and I'm glad she found the right profession for her. Recently, I was accepted into medical school. To say it was the best day of my life doesn't even come close to expressing how happy I was. This has been a dream of mine for as long as I can remember. Naturally, she was one of the first people I called when I found out, but her reaction really surprised me. She told me that going to medical school is a huge waste of time, and that future of medicine is nursing. That nurses are the real heroes of medicine, and that doctors don't really care about patients and only the money. These comments really made me upset, and I just asked her why she couldn't be happy for me when she knows this is what I've wanted for a long time. She said she was just being honest. I left it at that and said I had to go. The next day she called me again and said that she was sorry for hurting my feelings, but she wanted me to know the truth, which was that I would be better off going to nursing school. She said nurse practitioners learn everything a doctor does in 2 years, and that medical school is a huge waste of time and money. I got really upset and told her that I don't appreciate her comments, and that she doesn't know what she's talking about. That nurse practitioners do not learn everything that a doctor does in 2 years, and to say that is an insult to doctors. I also told her that her earlier comments about doctors being in it for the money were extremely disrespectful, considering most doctors go into enormous debt, give up 11 to 15 years of their life to train, and undergo massive amounts of stress, all to help people. She called me a pretentious a-hole and hung up. Am I the a-hole? You're not the a-hole, OP. Your friend is the a-hole in this situation. You didn't do anything wrong except tell her the truth. It's sad that she wasn't able to get into the medical program, but that doesn't mean she should delude herself into believing that nurses are better than doctors, and doctors are bad, and that they only care about money when they literally go into debt for years to study, because that seems to be exactly what she's doing. Congratulations on getting into med school. I'm sorry your friend couldn't be happy for you. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. You and your friend are experiencing a fallout. Unfortunately, this happens when folks' paths diverge. She seems jealous of your success and is looking for a way to justify her own failings. Be kind, but at this point you have to realize she is just saying she doesn't want to be friends anymore, since you remind her of her lost dream. Not the a-hole. Nurses are great, and many know a ton, but it's not at all the same thing as being a MD. To suggest otherwise is silly. To say it to you in that manner and with that timing is simply her trying to feel better about the choices she made when confronted with jealousy over your success. Congratulations, and don't let it bother you. You'll be too busy studying anyways. Not the a-hole. Sounds like a sour graper who is upset that her friend is able to accomplish a lifelong dream that she herself was not able to fulfill. I give sincere props and thanks to nurses and nurse practitioners, since hospitals and clinics wouldn't be able to function without their vital roles. But being a board-certified MD takes a lot longer and more sub-specialty training than an RN or NP. Congratulations on your acceptance into med school. It will be the best and often worst time of your life. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for deciding my mother-in-law is not fit to take care of my kids this summer? Thus, I quit my job and we can't afford my husband's boat. Of course, with all Reddit posts, there's a ton of background here and I will try to make this brief. I know family-related posts can get intense, so I created a throwaway. I have a good marriage with normal ups and downs. My desire in life is to be a stay-at-home parent. My kids are my passion, and I get more joy out of being with them and watching them grow and learn than I could any job. I do, however, do bookkeeping from home, so I have a decent income. Think I make as much as a new school teacher. However, my husband confessed to me earlier this year that he's tired of feeling like we don't have the material things his friends do. He said he talked with his mom and she would be happy to watch the kids for free as a test run this summer. I reluctantly agreed and asked my work for a full-time position while I study for the CPA. I've had major issues with my mother-in-law when it comes to food. Worst example, she allowed my kids to eat nothing but marshmallows for an entire weekend. Politics and religion, won't get into it, but we don't agree, and she always says things like, "This is evil, but don't tell your mom I said that." And safety. She flaunts the kids not wearing bike helmets and again tells the kids not to tell me. I was also exceptionally taken aback because before I got my first full-time check, my husband had taken out a loan at line 9% APR for a wakeboarding boat. I know he's wanted this for a long time, but the unilateral decision really bothered me. We are a month in, and it's not gone well up to yesterday. The kids have been repeatedly sick, so I'm pretty sure she's not following my food rules. They have had almost zero active time, and she parks them in front of phones to watch unsupervised YouTube literally all day long. I brought both up with her and told her that when I was home with them, we cooked together, we did play groups, we went to the zoo and did art camps. She head nodded me to death, and then when I left, she apparently called my husband, because when I saw him next, he told me I needed to go easier on her because she's why we can afford so many nice things now. Poor choice of words, dude. Then yesterday, she had 2 separate trips to the ER for 2 of the 3 kids. 1 severe sprain and 1 burn because my 6-year-old was hungry for something besides candy and tried to make a pizza. Both will be fine, but in addition to the kids being hurt, she took them to the exact ER I told her not to take them to. And now we are going to have months-long battle to try to get insurance to cover the bills. Edit. An exceptionally ignorant and argumentative commenter below is taking exemption to the ER thing. To be clear, I would have handled the burns and bruises at home. My mother-in-law panicked and took both the kids to the ER, and she drove past the one I told her to go to in order to take them to one she was more familiar with. So it's out of network, meaning we are at least in for a months-long battle, trying to get insurance to cover, and there is a good chance we may be out thousands of dollars for these ER trips. We couldn't potentially afford the goddamned boat that had already needed extensive work not in warranty because of these ER trips. I had it and told my work-in going back to part-time. I told my husband the boat is being sold and that was that. He is furious with me and so is mother-in-law. Am I the a-hole here? Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. What the F? Your husband took out a loan for a boat? I am floored. If you cannot afford to buy a boat in cash, you cannot afford a boat. Full stop, no exceptions. It's a luxury, not a necessity. And loans are for necessities only. Your mother-in-law was never fit to watch your kids. Your husband literally prioritized an effing boat over his children. He's an a-hole. Your mother-in-law is an a-hole. Not the a-hole. If it got so bad that an actual 6-year-old was desperate for real food and not candy, your mother-in-law is out of line and out of her mind. Your husband is being materialistic and selfish. His priority should be your family's well-being before material goods. There's a reason some things are luxuries, not everyone can afford them, and that is okay. You sound like you have your head on straight at least. Go get your kids. Not the a-hole. But at the same time, I think you went about it the wrong way. Now your mother-in-law and husband are on the defensive and won't be willing to listen. However, I don't know what other steps you could have taken you hadn't already. I wonder how your husband reacted to your kids going to the ER, and the wrong one at that. I'm sure he doesn't really care about the insurance and bills, because you've always handled it, right? This time make him handle it. I'm not typically one to use the emotional work argument, but this reads like a classic situation where the husband is super hands-off and just the breadwinner, while you deal with all the home administration stuff.